Welcome in. You're listening to the Medical Spa Insider podcast presented by American MSPA Association. Our host, Alex Thiersch, AmSpa founder, is in Indiana right now, protesting or lobbying against a bill that we will be discussing very shortly. So I'm manning the studio. I'm in an undisclosed location, aka my local library. Please support your local libraries. My name is Derek, the MSPA digital marketing supervisor, and usually behind the mixer. But today I am here, and we are going to talk about some of the whirlwind of legislation that has happened just in the first few weeks of 2026, and hopefully give you guys a idea of what's going on in the industry, where AmSpa is putting our focus in terms of advocacy, what you can do moving forward to help, and also just letting you know that we've made a change to the website. You can now see all of these legal updates, no matter what state you're in. You can see what's going on all across the country. Because we decided that information is power, and we are all stronger when we can work together and know what's going on across the state lines. We have the most supportive and active community in the industry. We're all helping each other grow and stay safe, and opening up this information is a big part of that. So if you're listening to this now, after the episode's over, you're done hearing me ramble, go ahead and go to the AmericanMedSpa.org website, look up the full information on all of these bills we're talking about. We also have some information in the blogs about this Indiana bill. We have a video of it on YouTube right now. So we're very active in all of these legislative moves happening all across the country. I'm going to dive into it here right now. So thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here. So we're going to jump right into these legislative moves, and be sure you come back here next week when Alex Thiersch will sit down with MSPA's legal counsel, Patrick O'Brien, to discuss some of these bills, especially what's going on in Indiana and what MSPA is going to do about it moving forward. If you'll make sure you don't miss that, hey, be sure you like and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice or YouTube, the MSPA YouTube channel. Let's move ahead into this miasma of state legislative trends. Let's start with that Indiana bill, Indiana SB 282. SB 282, if you've seen our other video or been on our blog, then you'll know that this is a bill currently passed through one house of the Indiana legislative, it's to the Senate, now it's gone to the House. Indiana SB 282 is a bill that was designed or positioned as safety legislation by saying that it would provide more oversight capability by encouraging medical spa owners and anyone who is giving aesthetic treatments to register themselves, register their practice, their licensing, and any and all aesthetic treatments that they are currently providing. This can include anyone who is providing things in family medicine. This can include OBGYNs providing hormone replacement. This could be extended to includes doctors and dentists. It's a very wide-ranging language in the bill. And the problem that we have found here at AmSpa is that ultimately what the bill comes down to is overregulation of GLP-1 medication. Uh, this bill has been sponsored and promoted by Eli Lilly, who are the manufacturers of Zepbound, and they have uh, a large part of the current GLP-1 medication market share. Uh, but for people in the medical spa field, obviously, most of the GLP-1s that are used in our treatments would be compounded to save on price since they're not being run through insurance. And we want to provide the most customizable and most effective treatments for our patients out in the industry. So compounded medications give a little more control over that, but of course, if we've been tracking the trend of compounding medication and the legislation around that. Uh, it has to be done in a safe way, has to be following FDA regulations. But if done so, there is no reason why a compounded GLP-1 is any less effective or any less safe than Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic, etc. Your big names. But the compounding medication is about 10%, we found, of the overall market share of GLP-1s. Okay? 10%. It's a huge market, so 10% is still quite a bit. Very fast growing, very lucrative. 10% is still quite a bit. So the issue that we think is really behind SB 282 is that Eli Lilly would like to know all the people in Indiana who are using compounded GLP-1s. It is them wanting to see how they can expand further and get a little bit more of that 10% back in their own amount, right? Between all of the major brands, they have the 90. They would like more of that. Okay. They like to extend past their competitors. It's market competition, basically. It's a public registration provides a extra level of complication to providers, both in med spas and providers in other practices outside of the med spa industry, and gives them more oversight and more opportunity to be fined for neglecting a piece of paperwork. It is busy work for providers. It is overregulation of the GLP-1 practice. The issue, and we've talked about this in our blog and in our video, is allowing a bill to pass through that claims to have one purpose to and actually doesn't address any of the safety issues um, around med spas. Right. So we support good faith, logical, rational legislation. We've been involved in helping add or refine bills previous years. We were in Texas helping refine that bill that was passed that we were tracking last year. We are involved in this. We know that there are ways that you can pass a bill that actually helps close loopholes that would keep people safer. Right? You can make sure that there's not bad faith or poorly trained injectors. You can make sure that there's not counterfeit material, that everything's being put through and managed safely. There are legislative moves that are good for practitioners and patients and the industry. this is not. We don't believe so. And so that's why Alex is in Indiana right now, talking about this, and we'll have an update on it very shortly. But it's important to know because Eli Lilly is also promoting the same variation of the same bill in other states. Starting in Indiana, they are trying to get it in other states. And it doesn't have their name on it, but they are heavily promoting, heavily supporting, and providing the professional oversight in the writing of these bills. And Eli Lilly is not involved in the MSPA field. Again, as we said, most GLP-1s are compounded. So the fact that they're trying to step into a field they are not involved in makes this a very suspect set of bills. So again, pay attention to what's going on in Indiana, and it will be a further discussion having in other states down the line. Yeah, and it is part of we've some 4 major trends that this year's multitude of bills have seemed to follow. So first of all, let's look at some bills that are taking aim at the licensing of medical spas. Currently, we have Massachusetts, Arizona, Iowa, Florida, Indiana. 5 bills that are going to add some more oversight or some extra requirements to setting up your medical spa. So if you're in those states, it's very important to pay attention to these new regulations that might be passing. Going back to that Indiana bill, requires the reporting and the registration of your practice. Florida has a bill that would change the oversight of medical spas and put them officially under the Board of Pharmacy. So they would add some extra regulation and regulatory support. And then also, indeed, does the Board of Pharmacy have anyone that is experienced in aesthetic medicine? That's going to be an issue, possibly. Iowa and Arizona, Massachusetts are changing who can be doing practices. You can see those on the screen here if you're watching the video. If not, I suggest that you definitely go into the legal updates section of the blog. Again, once as it is now free and open to anyone. So just because it's not in your state, as I just said about Indiana, it could be coming to yours next. So it's important to stay involved, to stay informed on what's going on across the country. So Arizona's bill would create an actual statute definition of what a medical spa is. And so if they are, depending on who they're taking advice from on that writing, could be very limiting or could be very vague. And neither of which would be a great outcome. So hopefully we can possibly reach out on that and get that a little more defined so that if there is a legal definition of a medical spa in Arizona, it is one that makes sense. Massachusetts is adding the cosmetology board involved with their bill to put some boundaries on scope of practice. And similar to Iowa and similar to Arizona. Again, basically the idea behind these bills is putting limits or definitions on what is a med spa, who owns a med spa, and who is in control of overseeing and regulating that med spa. So very important to know because that then defines who you are dealing with as you set up your practice. The other trend we are seeing, we're in Rhode Island and Washington. There is some legislation on MSOs, Management Service Organization, which of course is how we often suggest you set up the financial side of your spa. It is a important way to add some financial structure to your practice. We have plenty of training on this. I would suggest you go into the webinars. If you are a Plus member, you can watch them for free. If you are not a Plus member, you can still go in there and find find some training on MSO. Of course, if you come to the Medical Spa Bootcamp, you'll already be well aware of how to set up your MSO. So come to the bootcamp. Just saying that out. You know, an MSO, come to the bootcamp. Want to learn a whole about MSOs? Come to MSS, where we have all of the best minds. Ask them how they set up theirs. Be happy to tell you.
The Medical Spa Show returns to the Wynn in Las Vegas April 9th through 12th. Every year, MSS is where the best come to get better. Over 100 educational sessions, a sold-out expo hall filled with more than 200 potential brand partners, and networking events that bring together the most supportive community in medical aesthetics. Friends of the pod can save $100 off their registration today with the promo code INSIDER. That's medicalspashow.com, promo code INSIDER. We can't wait to see you there.
Promo code expires April 9th, 2026 and only applies to primary registrants. It cannot be combined with any additional offers. Learn more about this event at medicalspashow.com.
Anyway, in Rhode Island, we have a Senate bill that would restrict how a medical licensee can interact with their MSO. That then allows for more corporate oversight of your practice. And similarly, in Washington, the MSO connection would be made will be scrutinized more, right? So you have your practice side and you have your business side. These bills would put some possible frustration into how you combine, how you interact those two sides of your med spa, right? And you might be, depending on who you are, we have people in our association who are the more of the business side. They are the owner. They are the accountant. They are the manager. So this affects you. We have plenty of clinicians. This affects you because then you two can't talk to each other. So the important to look into this. Keep track of this. And as this is a trend that continues to expand to other states, we will let you know. And we will always be there to figure out how do we, if there is some more friction here, we'll definitely figure out ways to help you overcome that because we are here for you, your association. Moving on. We talked about this already, the GLP-1 provisions, not just Indiana. Like I said, Eli Lilly is doing this in other states, including one coming into Mississippi. I don't know if this is the Eli Lilly one directly, but we're going to see more GLP-1 regulation moving forward, especially since the World Health Organization recently okayed the use of GLP-1 for weight loss. That is going to open up quite a bit more access to these medications and bump up production even more than it already is. And so we're going to see a lot of movement in this field, in this particular area of medicine over the next few years. So be sure to be on the lookout in your state for when these regulations start to come up, because that will then often be putting a limit or putting some sort of barrier to compounding. The last one we'll look at is bills that are talking about scope of practice. So lots of bills in the past month or so have actually been expanding a bit of what people in that state can do. Illinois, New Jersey, Mississippi, Ohio, West Virginia, Massachusetts, and New Jersey all have a bill within the past month and a half that have suggested some alteration to scope of practice. We have in Illinois, PAs may be given the ability to practice with more autonomy. They'll be having, if they reach certain training thresholds, they will then be considered independent practitioners, as it were. They'll be allowed to give treatments without direct oversight. Same thing will happen for APNs in New Jersey, APRNs in Mississippi, APRNs in Ohio. These are bills that will actually expand the ability of these professionals to provide and with less oversight. It shows more trust in the abilities of these highly trained and capable medical professionals. And it also will give a little more time and less workload to medical directors who can now do not have to be directly overseeing every procedure. Obviously, we'd still need medical directors to help keep people safe, but we also have a lot of trust in our injectors and our nurses who are, again, highly trained, highly motivated, and if they meet these thresholds, certainly capable of providing safe, quality treatments. West Virginia, we are seeing a bill that will create a professional requirement to be a master esthetician, adding a level of credentials to that field. We are probably going to see that as a trend moving forward. That's something that the AmSPA is also involved in, the idea of creating some more standards and credentials. So keep an eye on that moving forward. Indiana is giving microneedling permissions to estheticians. Massachusetts bill would allow hygienists, dental hygienists, to give more aesthetic injection. And New Jersey, slightly off, still AmSpa, still medical spa area that we don't really talk about a lot. Laser tattoo removal. New Jersey has a bill that would create a certificate for laser tattoo removal. So if you were wanting to have that as a specialty in your practice in New Jersey, there will now be a little more structure to how you would be qualified to provide that, if that's what you want to do. It sounds fun. Hear lots of good stories. So, what does all of this mean? Let's try to wrap this up and get you guys home. Get myself home. On my igloo here. So, what is the impact on you as a provider? All of these changes. It is imperative that you stay up to date on your own state, as we said, because that then changes what you have to do. We saw this again in New Jersey. There was the extension granted this week for practitioners who needed to find a director or an overseer. There was if just brief notes. So New Jersey during the pandemic had lessened the requirement to have a direct oversight on your location on hand. You could expanded scope of practice for the lower credentialed practitioners, and that ran out. And then these practitioners then were given only 2 weeks to track down a new medical director or otherwise to meet that new requirement. And luckily, that was then extended for a few extra weeks. But if you were not aware of that and you were operating there in New Jersey and you weren't keeping up on that regulation, now all of a sudden you are out of compliance, and that could lead to big issues. So as your state laws are changing, that then changes what you need to do to stay compliant. And as the industry grows, as more players are getting into it, as more legislators are becoming aware of the field, and as more outside players start to want to get influence in the field, you're going to see more policy, more bills, and things are going to become more complex. You're going to have a whole web of red tape to crawl through. You're going to have forms, more credentials, more idiosyncrasies from state to state. And so keeping up on your state is important. Keeping up on other states is also important because then you know what might be coming across to you. So it's important for providers to stay informed and for providers to watch for these things: GLP-1s, licensing, and scope of practice. Right? If your GLP-1 access is being limited, that then makes it harder for you to provide that service. If your licensing framework is being muddled with, that then changes how you keep your practice in compliance. Scope of practice being changed around, that then is going to play with your staffing requirements and whatnot. So let's end on a high note here. What are we doing and how can you help? Right? Just being a member of AmSPA, if you are an American MedSpa Association member, you are helping right now, because the more people we have in our family, the more voices we have, the more people that we have to outreach to in each state, the more voices that we have coming out in support of good faith, quality, safety-focused, patient-focused legislation, the more power we have to do that in return. So if you are a member, thank you. You are helping just by being you. You are not a member, you can help by being you as a member. Okay? You can also all help by sharing all this information, by going on to the AmSpa website, finding the detailed breakdowns of these bills, and sharing that with your networks, by making sure that you are following AmSpa, being a member of our mailing list, being in our social media, being just connecting with us anywhere you can, because we are involved every day with all of these issues. And you can contact your own legislation on the legislator and make sure that they are being kept aware of what the actual practitioners think of these bills. Right? I personally have an app called Five Calls. Five Calls is a wonderful app. Not sponsoring this podcast right now. I guess if they want to, they certainly can. It will directly connect you with your representatives, right? Or I mean, you can find them obviously easily online, but this is a fast way too. I'll just have them right there. Press the button. You can call them their office right away, and you can leave them a message. You can email your legislators. Just again, if there's something that affects you, then you can reach out and talk to them. Let them know what practitioners think of these bills, and we will do the same. So we're doing in Indiana right now. We have some of our Indiana friends with us, and we are meeting with people. Alex will talk all about next week. Right? That's what AmSpa is doing. We are here for you. We're here for your patients, and we're making sure that everything in the industry is moving forward in the right direction. And again, thank you so much. I know this was a weird episode. I hope that I was able to illuminate a little bit of what's going on. Hopefully it piques some interest. Go to our website, read the reviews. We got Patrick O'Brien, our legal representative, gives us his insight on every single bill that comes through, and it's right there on the website. Every time something is changed, we make it up to date. If you're a member, you are, of course, able to get your whole state scope of practice and your whole state legal requirements right there at your fingertips. So another reason, if you're not a member, to sign up for your membership, right? Because you have access to that at any time. Just throwing that out there. And thanks.
Thank you to our producer, Madeline Moeller, marketing content coordinator, who organizes the podcast schedule and guests and provides topics and talking points. Audio and video editing, voiceover, graphics, and platform management is provided by myself, Derek Hawk, Digital Marketing Supervisor. Our themes are provided by Maka Music. Thank you for watching or listening to the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. Ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, visit americanmedspa.org.
Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by AmSpa. Views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance in the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. AmSpa provides this podcast as a full service for educational purposes only. This podcast does not constitute legal advice, nor does it establish an attorney-client relationship. Please consult with an attorney on your legal issues.
And as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Spa Insider. Remember, compliance is cool.